Hello and welcome to another F22 Total Air War Let's Play video. Today we're going to go into the Red Sea tour and do the Prelude mission. Hopefully we'll complete this tour. Okay, we're going to be in the Egyptian Air Force, flying an Egyptian F22. And we are going to be probing the Sudanese air defences for weak points. If we are detected and challenged by the Sudanese Air Force, then we can seize the initiative and attack decisively before returning home. So here we are. I'm just going to flick on the autopilot because there's nothing around. I'm going to press Shift and G to get the mini displays up. So we've got the attack display on the left and the defences display on the right. Just have a look at our plane. Now this is the first time I've played these missions in a long while, because back in 1998 my Pentium 100 couldn't run this game properly. Okay, if we look at the tactical display, there's two red triangles and they are 767s, Sudanese 767s. They're civilian planes and we're not going to attack these. We don't want to cause any civilian casualties. We jump in the smart view, there's a Humvee on the road and another Humvee. There's a lot of neat little touches of F22 Total Air War with things like this and smoke coming out of the little Humvees and trucks and cars. We jump around, there's some more ground targets. There's even a boat. There's plenty of surface to air missile launchers. We're just going to follow along these waypoints. We're on to waypoint 4. And keep low and fast and keep our MCOM setting at number 1 where we can. Have a look inside our bomb bays. We've got 2 Maverick missiles and 2 Sidewinder missiles. I'm going to speed up time with Shift and T. Now I know I've done this mission before a long time ago, and there's one enemy plane that will take off at the enemy airfield just over here, and if we press K you can have a look at everything with the wide view, which is quite neat. And there's a ground target over there, we can have a look at it. It's a surface to air missile launcher. If we look on the defensive display and move our mouse over these targets, it will identify what they are. And there's an Su-27 at the airfield in blue. It's nicely modelled in this game, or combat flight simulation I should say. Yes, I was just saying that my old computer couldn't run this game. It could run the F2000 just about, a Pentium 100, I remember all those years ago. And when I bought this game, I was a bit disappointed because I had to run it on the lowest settings and it just kept crashing. I don't know why. And only now today with my Xenon inside powered processor desktop it can run it well, so I'm really pleased about that. If we look at the displays, everything's functioning normally, got plenty of fuel. And we're on to waypoint 5. And we look at the other displays. There's the systems report. We've got no damage. And waypoint 5 is about 18 miles away now. We're travelling at 562 knots. The speed of sound is 667 knots, and depending on the altitude, the F22 can super cruise at supersonic speed without using the afterburners. So that's one of the major advantages of the F22 fighter plane. So now we're on to the next waypoint, waypoint 7, and we're just coming across this, flying across this settlement. We jump into smart view, we can see the 767 and some other planes, and we've got the Su-27 that's been scrambled, or maybe it's just taking off as part of routine. As a routine combat air patrol. We'll find out if it heads straight towards us. Maybe someone spotted us from the ground. And there it goes, taking off. Now the Sukhoi Su-27 was developed by Sukhoi to rival the F-15 Strike Eagle, and it was introduced into the Soviet Air Force in 1985. It's got a range of about 1,900 nautical miles, and it's not an opponent in this flight simulation that should be taken for granted. Now it's somewhere over to the left of us. If we keep low, we should be fine. Now we've detected it, and we look over to our left, there it is. We've got to turn towards it, and that's because in this mission I think it tells you have to fly over these waypoints near the airfield. So that's our reconnaissance mission for you. There it is. I don't think it's seen us yet. It's flying over to this sea or this lake. There's only one of them, there's no wingman, and we don't have a wingman. So if it came to it, it would be 1v1. And it's flying over this dam, I think, behind it. We're flying about 800 knots. And there's a missile on us now. A radar missile's on our tail, so we're going to press the semicolon button to launch chaff. Now the chaff doesn't always automatically launch, so you have to press the chaff button, which is the semicolon button. I think you have to do that if you're in the low encon settings. So we've broken the lock. And the missile's missed us, so we're going to spin around and launch a sidewinder in self-defense. We're allowed to shoot now. So we're in a turning dogfight here. I'm going to use the thrust vectoring to help me get my sights onto him. We've got a lock and missile away, and I think that's missed. I'm going to get another chance now. And missile away. Boom! Splash one. That was nice and easy. Now there's a surface-to-air missile launcher just to the front and right of us. So I'm just going to dive down as fast as we can. And there we go. Broken the lock. And we're off its radar screen. So we can continue on our way. Now the thrust vectoring button, if you need it, is above the tab button on your keyboard. I'm not sure what that key is called, but it's like a little fish type symbol, like a wave. But you know it's above the tab button. If you hold it down briefly, you can put your nose towards the enemy quite quickly. Okay, we're just cruising along here onto waypoint 9. If we zoom out on the tactical display, we've got a fair way to go, so I'm going to speed up time for pressing Shift and T and just zip along this little lake or bay. Some sort of lake, mostly in desert. There's an F22 friendly aircraft just ahead of us, about 150 miles away. If we press Shift and H, you can cycle the colours of the HUD display, the heads-up display. If it's quite a bright sunny day like today and you're flying across sand, then you might want to have a HUD display that's black in colour. And conversely, if it's night time, you might want a light display like white or red or green. And in these series of videos I'll be using different colours depending on the time of day. And we're flying across this barren desert. Not a lot to see here. And occasionally you'll see a river. Now we're on to waypoint 12 soon. There's some enemy surface-to-air missile launchers just to the left of us, so you can just see that on the tactical display, although there's no threat to us at the moment. If it was a threat, that you would see their radar envelope and you'll hear a warning sound. So we can just leave them alone.
MCON manual 5.
As an experiment, I'm going to press the MCON setting to number 5 and see what happens.
1.
No, nothing's happened. So we're back to MCON setting 1. We're not emitting anything. And this is what most of this game is about. It's about sneaking around and not making a sound or causing too much disturbance. And then if you have to fight, then you just pop up, turn everything on, launch everything, and then zip away quietly. Well, quite disconcerting when the autopilot does a barrel roll for no reason. But it's pretty secure, my experience anyway. Now we're coming along to this waypoint and turning around now. And there's some more enemy surface-to-air missile launchers. You can see that on the defensive display. Zoom in, have a look at one of them. And the infrared search and track display has got it there. Now you can see here on this screen There's a white circle that appears, and that indicates the radar envelope of the surface-to-air missile. Then it's launched a missile. There's a yellow dot that's appeared. And if necessary, I'm going to press the chaff button manually.
Autopilot disengaged. Chaff.
To fool this missile. You should launch chaff for radar guided missiles and flares to fool infrared guided missiles. Now most surface to air missile launchers will be launching radar guided missiles. If you press the chaff button, the F22 will release a series of shiny bits of foil into the air, and the enemy radar will pick that up and fly through it and not your plane. Enemy planes tend to launch at range, let's say more than 20 miles away, radar guided missiles, and when they get in close, let's say under 10 miles, they'll launch infrared guided missiles, and that's when you need to launch flares using the semicolon button, and the flare will come out the back of your plane, and the flare is bright hot, white hot, and the infrared seeking head of the infrared missile will lock onto that instead of your exhaust of the plane. If we look around on the attack display, we're coming into friendly territory, a lot of friendly ground targets. There's a Bedford truck on our infrared search and track display. Let's have a look at it. There is a little plume of smoke as it's driving along. I think that's friendly, although if you put your mouse over it there isn't a description, because friendly ground targets are green when the writing comes up and red if it's an enemy vehicle. Okay, we're on to our final landing waypoint, which is just about 100 miles away. There's some friendly F22s in the area, so we're pretty safe now. And I guess as we play the later missions in this tour, it won't be as easy as this mission. We're about 20,000 feet and we're just clearing this tabletop like mountain. And our present course will take about 7 minutes. And there's some friendly surface-to-air missile launch sites there. We can look at one. If you left click it with mouse, it will target it on the HUD display. And you can see it on the infrared search and track display. I don't know if you can zoom out because it's zoomed right in there. And you can see the tank tracks of this friendly surface-to-air missile. No, we're not going to shoot. It's on our side. There it is, just to the left of us. I'm going to have a look at it. It's got one big missile on it, ready to fire. Now the friendly airfield should be just ahead of us, just after this bit of water, I think. And we've already switched to our ILS landing HUD, and we've got to go to MCON setting 2 at least so we can talk to the airfield. We're going to ask to land with a straight-in approach. I just want to be parallel with the runway, turn and then land. That's the plan. Now landing this plane is quite easy. compared to other flight simulations. You want to be aiming to land through those glide boxes, as you can see at the front of the runway, and touch down at about 140 knots. And you can just put your throttle down to the minimum setting, and the plane nearly lands itself almost. Right, so we should be lined up with the runway. They're the landing boxes, so we just need to put our trajectory diagram of the plane through it. And once we drop below 300 knots, we'll put our undercarriage down. And we can use the air brake as well to slow us down a little bit. And once we're about 10 feet off the ground, we just pull up, get our nose up. And we're a little bit short. Oh, touchdown. And there we go, we're cruising along this runway. If we press the B button, not only will apply the air brake but also the wheel brakes. And you want to taxi at no more than 40 knots generally in this flight simulation. If you press shift and the arrow toe brake buttons, not the keyboard arrow buttons but the keyboard symbol arrow buttons, then you apply the toe brakes and you can turn a bit more tightly. So we've just taken a little shortcut across the grass, and there we have it, we've done it. Excellent. I hope you enjoyed that. Until next time, thank you for watching, and bye bye.